Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. Except the blood of the poor and the way they mouth. The last gasp of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
That's the essence of your entire political identity. You might be a white supremacist.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, I'm the only light-skinned person in attendance tonight.
Finally.
Well, that's colorist.
No, truth hurts.
Thank you, Farouk. I appreciate that. For you not calling me light-skinned. Because
No,
I'm tired of this shit, bro.
Yeah, I don't think you're light-skinned. You don't
Thank
strike.
you.
Yeah. But,
Exactly.
we're here tonight. Our illustrious avocado farmer has, come across a new harvest time. So, he's out making sure Chipotle got all the extra guac. In the interim, the Wonder Twins are here in office, and we are ready to talk about the madness that's been happening with white supremacy. But I would just like to shine some black excellence very briefly on my illustrious co-host. Treble, do you have some hardware to show us again? I would love to see it.
It does have a...
Oh! Nigga got it on display in the bookshelf,
Did you mute yourself?
I think he did.
I did. That was a mistake. Microphone went out.
Because you were like the excellence, which is so overwhelming.
Yeah, I just think it's so dope that we can say Treble is an Emmy award-winning artist right now.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? Congratulations.
That shit is dope. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, congratulations again.
You know
So,
what I'm saying?
how let's talk real quick, man. Let's talk real quick about what's been happening with white supremacy. I take a week off. I take a week off to collect myself, and white folks lost their goddamn mind.
Yes, they did.
Across the world.
Mhm.
We had so much happen in 7 days, and that's what we always say. We don't need to prep for this show. We can just literally just come on here Wednesday at 5:55 and say, you know what, this is what we're going to talk about, and we would have sufficient content. But the shit we got to talk about that's wild is in a supposed area of civility, of politics, that doesn't really have room for such barbed comments targeting someone's religion, targeting someone's creed, targeting someone's sexuality, because that's what you swear to whenever you become, a person of Congress or House of Representatives. We have somebody who is the Sarah Palin 2.0 representative. Is she Congress? Is she in Congress?
She's in Congress.
She's in Congress.
The
Laura
House of Representatives.
Laura Boebert, who said disgusting remarks, not only about Mike Buttigieg, but what we're talking about is the Islamophobic and the egregious comments insinuating terrorism to another House of Representative, the representative of the House. Is that how you say that? Yeah.
House of Representatives,
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She called her a terrorist. Can we pull that up, John? We just get moving right now with that, just in case anybody didn't hear it, anybody didn't know what's happening. Remember, do you want to weigh in before we pull it up?
No, it's just always funny how the audacity of people.
The caucasity, you mean?
A word. I can't always pronounce words correctly.
The caucasity
of people to not only lie on black and brown people, but do so in public and not even care if they get caught for calling out. It's just like the harassment. That's what matters.
Yeah.
It's just making sure that black and brown people know that any given day they can be assaulted, they can be targeted, and no one's going to come to their rescue and nobody's going to defend them.
Mm-hmm.
Because this makes absolutely no sense that on a fundraising tour, you're basically able to call one of your colleagues a terrorist and basically use that to incite hatred and animosity.
I was going to say there's a danger.
people.
There's danger to that. There's legit danger to that. We've seen these dog whistle things incite an actual coup on the 6th of January. Failed coup. Thank you for that. But this wording has incited people to violence. Here we are right here. This is it. Laura Boebert made anti-Muslim jokes about Ilhan Omar in September, right?
And a couple weeks ago.
It wasn't like she just did it once.
This is part apparently it's like part of her stump speech.
Right. This is like her spiel. This is her stick, you know. And it's not funny. Like, John, can you hit play on that real quick?
Staffers on his first day with me got into an elevator in the Capitol. And in that elevator, we were joined by Ilhan Omar.
Oh my God. Yeah, right? Like, come on.
Well, it was just us three in there, and I looked over and I said, well, look at there, it's the Jihad Squad.
And I was like, what?
One of my staffers on his first day with
And
me
you
got
know,
into an
it didn't even happen. Like, she was never even in the elevator with Ilhan. And it's just like,
she just made up a story.
you tell people.
Just for the sake of jokes, just for laughs. It's like,
But this is
that's
an
a
elected
terrible joke, bro. Like,
I don't know. Jihad Squad is pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna hold you. That's pretty.
It's always one. It is always one.
If she would have said Jihad Jane, that would have been a little more pointed, like a little boy. But like Jihad Squad is pretty funny. But Treble, what do you think about an elected official saying something like this in order to? That's her basis for gaining money and re-election.
so I question not only her, but every person in that room that was laughing, howling, screaming, thinking that shit was funny as fuck. Because not only does she she clearly showed that she doesn't care enough about a group of people to like actually to not target them in her jokes, but she also has an audience who agrees with her, and nobody in that room thought to think, hey, like, that's not okay. That's not a cool joke. I didn't enjoy that. That wasn't funny. It's like we have all these Karens who want to rush the stage when you're talking about your sex life. But when you're making jokes about, when you're making jokes about brown people, all of a sudden it's okay. No Karens to be shown.
That's a great point. That's a great point. What's rampant with these GOP tactics right now is that Trump kind of set a precedence. And we're seeing, with the legal precedents that were just set with Kyle Rittenhouse, that a lot of this is going to become a lot more violent without any recompense. There's not going to be any consequence. And in fact, we've seen that with Laura Boebert when she issued an apology, and she basically was just like, sorry, not sorry. Like, I said what I said. That was essentially her apology. She was like, yeah, I said it. Anybody that was offended, I'm basically just here so I don't get fined. You know what I mean?
Every time I hear her name, I think of Lorena Bobbitt, and so
I do too.
And so
I do too.
My brain sometimes just like messes up. I'm like, it's not the same thing.
Treble might be a little young for Lorena Bobbitt.
Do you know?
I don't know who that is.
Oh man,
Lorena Bobbitt was a woman who became famous in the early 90s because her husband was physically abusive to her, and her solution was to cut off his member and throw it in the bushes.
She drove down the highway and dashed it out the window.
And so not only was she arrested for cutting off his member, but the police were actually dispatched to go search outside to find it so it could be surgically reattached.
Did they ever find it?
Yeah. And he was an adult entertainer for a moment.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so every time I hear
I
her
forgot
name,
all about that part. Oh man!
But and it's not to say, not to be distracted, because white supremacists is violence and serves as distraction, as Toni Morrison said.
But we don't take sexual assault lightly over here.
But what I think is very problematic is like what Treble was saying is like all these people who were laughing, and it didn't start with Trump. We like to say Trump ushered it in, Trump said it. It's the super predators. It is all this language that goes on to sit there and say that Black and brown people are somehow violent, and therefore white people need to take up arms or do something to fight back.
Would you say that while Trump didn't usher it in, he made it socially acceptable?
No, I mean, I think it was always socially acceptable. That's why we have this like pushback against cancel culture, because people were mad that they couldn't say like their racist slurs or the horrible jokes or be out here sexually assaulting people without being held accountable. And I would say no. What we saw with Trump was people trying to say this is unacceptable, but obviously we've had this white lash and this resurgence, so that people are like, I just want to be a racist bigot, and you have to deal with it, because no one has protected Ilhan. No one has made sure that she's okay. From a boss perspective, they even made her have this conversation. Imagine having to have a conversation with your coworker who's told everyone that you're out here committing incest, that you're a terrorist, that you're a horrible person, that you possibly deserve to die and not be here. And then it's up to you to take a phone call and be even further dehumanized and disrespected, and no one says anything.
What also to echo that is, and we're highlighting Ilhan Omar because she was the focal point of this, but she also Laura Boebert made disparaging remarks and anti-gay remarks about Mike Buttigieg, saying he was at home chest feeding his baby. And it's just like, when you're a person that's elected, you're clearly running off an agenda. You're clearly trying to target a specific group to fundraise, to get votes, to appeal to a constituency that you service. So when you're using these kind of like stand-up comic routines to elicit funding and elicit support from your base, then this is an indictment not only against you and them, but against the institution that you claim to serve. Because I'm sure in that room you got some gay people. I'm 1,000% sure there's one gay person in that room. I'm 1,000% sure that they go home and they're friends with a gay person. So it's just like you're alienating, and now you're starting to target people. And with this shit ramping up, it becomes a lot more dangerous for all of these people who aren't these cis white males.
Feel like, oh yeah, Miracle did like she was about to say something.
I thought Miracle was about to
Treble.
dummy somebody.
I was just gonna say, like, I want to comment on the Trump influence on this, because I think like while Trump didn't create this precedent, the precedent he did create was, I don't have to be politically correct with my racism. I can do it on camera, and the market is there. You know what I'm saying? It's like we knew the market was there. That's why a Trump presidency was successful. That's why we got to that point. You know what I'm saying? Because the market already existed. All he did was give them the torch they needed to be flagrant with their, racism and xenophobia on camera.
With the way, and I'm a little older, and this is, Miracle, you correct me if I'm wrong. Trump was probably the most, as a president, the most vile with it outside of like Tony Blair, because George Bush was bad, but he wasn't that bad.
Like after Nixon,
in
modern times.
Yeah, in modern times was that because Tony Blair, the former prime minister of the United Kingdom, was bad, but he was more so like the parallel to George Bush Jr., who had said stupid shit, but nothing that egregious. Trump was the first one, to my knowledge, because Reagan did the welfare queen thing, right?
Yeah, and Clinton did do some of the Willie Horton.
Yeah, Clinton did. Yeah. But I think Trump was the most egregious.
No, I think Trump wasn't egregious. He was the least apologetic.
Or that. Aren't they the same thing?
No, because I feel like Clinton would say stuff that was harmful and pass legislation that was
harmful. I would say his legislation was harmful.
And then, but oops, I didn't mean it, or I didn't understand, or I feel your pain.
I feel your pain. I did not have sexual relations.
Trump
with that
would be
woman.
like, I don't know what more black people want. Like, it is what it is. This is,
But is that worse than you ain't if you vote for me, or if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? Is that worse than what Biden said?
That's y'all giving people invites to the cookouts.
Hey, listen.
So I don't know anything about that, but I don't think so. But I think it's very important that we just like highlight how violent this is, because this same week when we're just also talking about how, the author of The Lovely Bones, it found out that like the man she said raped her didn't even do it. It was the black man that she pointed to in the room, was like, it was him. Mm-hmm. He's the one who raped me. And she wrote all these novels and did all these speaking tours. Like, it wasn't even him. And so when we're talking about like the violence of white women, a lot of times we like to sit there and pretend that these white men are the most violent. But a lot of times it is the pretext of like white women and the safety of white women that a lot of this anti-Black violence happens. So when these women like
1000%.
Boebert come up and talking about, you know, the jihad squad and needing to be protected, it's not funny. They're basically sending this whistle, and we have things like Rosewood and, you know, Black Wall Street, a lot of these race riots that where Black people were slaughtered based on this need to protect, quote unquote, a white woman. And so people know what they're doing, and that's why this rhetoric is so dangerous and so violent.
Can I tell you something? A little
If you're gonna make a joke about this,
I'm not making a joke. Now I'm just gonna tell you something anecdotal because you said Rosewood.
Okay.
When I was younger, when we were playing football, like before we play all white teams, we would watch Rosewood before we played football to get fired up. No pun intended. That was probably a very terrible joke. Moving on.
Treble, what do you have? Treble.
I don't know if I don't know if y'all know who Greer Barnes is. He's super fucking funny, but he has 2 jokes about white women that talk about what you were just saying, Miracle. There's one joke where he was like, "Yo, if I was a white woman, I'd rob black dudes. I just walk up to him like, 'Hi, my name's Sarah. Give me your wallet.'"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh," then she goes on and say, "Give me your wallet. I'm going to scream." He's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I'm just saying that's a great tactic.
You know what I'm saying? Then there's another joke he told where he was like, you know, he was walking down the street and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "White women make me uncomfortable. When I'm walking down the street, I actually cross the street." And then he told this funny story about like him crossing the street, and all of a sudden there's another white woman on the other side of the street. So now here he is in the middle of the street trying to avoid these white women, but it looks worse because it's like, which one of these white women am I going to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what he's trying to paint with these jokes is the fact that like these white women are dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's like, especially when you're a Black dude just walking down the street at night.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I don't feel comfortable in white neighborhoods after a certain time because if I see a white woman, I think, oh, fuck, like it's my word against hers if some shit goes down. Let me keep my distance. You know what I'm saying? I used to take late night walks in Squirrel Hill, and like I definitely kept a great distance between.
You got to be mindful, bro.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I think, before we move forward, like I'll say this, like when we look at white supremacy, because everybody's affected by white supremacy, and it's a shame that we kind of have to have this as like a parental advisory warning with the show. We talk how white supremacy affects everybody, right? Because there's not a person on the planet that's not affected by it. But white supremacy, when divvied up into the male and female counterpart, right? White women's version of white supremacy doesn't tend to be even less or more dangerous than the male part, but more insidious. And I think that's the word we have to look at. It's more insidious because it tends to be more calculated, and it tends to, kind of weaponize their femininity. And as we see with the author of The Lovely Bones, just, using, a Black man raped me, and it was this specific one. But while we're talking about violence, that we have to go forward and talk about the most current event right now, which is the unfortunate reoccurring story of Americana and education. Is yet another school shooting that happened in Michigan yesterday that left 4 dead so far? 4 dead. And the shooter, before you can even ask, yes, he was white. Murdered 4 people and is being tried as an adult. What Miracle told me, what I didn't know was, you want to say, I don't want to speak for you. You sit right next to me.
What part did I tell you?
About where it was and what they tried to do.
Oh, yes. So like,
come on, get with it.
We talk about a lot of different things, so you have to sometimes do a little deeper dive into the context clues. Right. But what they had said originally when this school shooting occurred, what happened was they tried to say it was a Detroit high school shooting. So those of you who don't know, trying to get peace, Detroit, DC, Atlanta. These are places called CCs, aka Chocolate Cities, aka where Black people.
I've never heard CCs before.
AKA where Black people live. You've never?
I've never heard.
There's a whole song and everything.
Wow.
James Brown, like when he was this. Okay. Anyways, and so they kept saying it was this Detroit high school shooting. The shooting happened in Detroit because a lot of people don't know where Oxford, Michigan is.
But we do know Black folks don't shoot up schools. That's what we do know.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood. As of yet, come on. See, now it's gonna be your.
Oh, I don't believe in superstition.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. Cultural differences, and so it was just even when the story first broke out, because there's been all this conversation about, fights happening at schools, and it's usually Black students fighting, situation that happened in like Philly, with the Stop Asian Hate attack on a student. So it's usually this Black face that when you talk about school violence, and they try to say it was Detroit, and really it's just been today that people realize that the school shooter was a young Caucasian 15-year-old.
No, was it really?
It was. I mean, the fact that he was taken alive, the fact that his picture wasn't put out there, his name really wasn't leaked until he was charged as an adult, and they had no other option, was just very indicative of the fact that this was a Caucasian person. Then, like Kyle Rittenhouse, when it's white men with guns, somehow police restraint is ever present.
Well, trying to throw Detroit under the bus was, coming from the Trump era, where these were quote unquote shithole cities: Baltimore, Detroit, Philadelphia, these cities with these massive Black populations, were the subject of such media vitriol over the last 4 years in the previous administration that was in this country, that, the media really thought they could get one over on this, to say, oh, look, right after Kyle Rittenhouse, we have another white shooter, another white teen shooter. So that begs to talk about, where do we go with this conversation right now, right? And why is it that these young white children have such access to firearms liberally, right? While Black children are incarcerated and murdered at such an exponential rate for even being adjacent to weaponry that's not even real. Tamir Rice was 12 years old. We can never forget this story about Tamir Rice having a fake gun, because that's what children have. They have play guns. They got super soakers. They got cap guns. They got BB guns. They got Nerf guns. That's American culture, right? That's what you're indoctrinated in the West, not even just America, but that's in the West. You have access to fake guns. It's all over TV. So to murder a 12-year-old child for having, a play toy, but yet we're championing someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, calling him a hero and all these other things. And then you have this person, who's named Ethan Crumbly, who goes and kills 4 people with this liberal and unregulated access to firearms as a young person, is very alarming. The fact, I'm an advocate for guns. I'm an advocate for everybody should have them, but I believe that there needs to be some regulatory practices for young people who aren't of age to be working with this hardware, because this isn't the Middle East. This isn't Darfur. You know what I mean? You don't have to have like these white kids in suburbia walking around with these guns. Like, and the thing that's wild is they get the first day of hunting off. There's schools in Pennsylvania that don't take off Martin Luther King Day, but they give the children off for the first day of hunting to go and shoot shit. That's fine, right? But you can tell what type of time we on right there when that's the practice that you're having. So this is the system, and these are the things that we have to unpack, right? As people of the global majority existing in this North American wilderness, where these white people just walking around killing each other because they have the agency to do so, and they're not taking any type of recompense or any type of consequence in a court of law. There's no judiciary fail-safe that's keeping it from happening, right? And I'm not saying that, you need to put metal detectors and shit in that school. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But what I am saying is we need to look. And didn't you say that the parents might be charged in this?
Yeah, because they said allegedly what happened, he was in a parent-teacher conference. He left and went ta with his father's gun.
How do you have his father's gun? Where the parents?
They were
white people?
School meeting.
How come the parents wasn't here? Right? Isn't that the first thing you always say about Black children? Where the parents? Where the parents? Right? Treble, Bill. I know you got something to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I didn't know that the parents were getting charged, but I was going to say they definitely should, because like it's not just on him. Like they said it blatantly in the article that like he was shooting his father's gun. So it's like he had access to this firearm because his father, who is clearly a careless gun owner, allowed his 15-year-old son to get hold of it. It's like, how did he get your gun, bro? How did you not even notice? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's wild to me that like we get all of this shit for being terrible parents of our Black kids when they're shooting each other, but we don't hear none of that noise when shit like this happens. They literally know that it was his father's gun, but no one's dragging the father. You know what I'm saying? Where's the bad rap for the father? You feel me? Where are them rallying around like, oh, what were you gonna say, Miracle?
It always amazes me how like white on white crime never becomes a thing
Mhm.
when these situations happen.
I was gonna say,
right?
white on white crime don't make me lose sleep.
But nobody's out here like saying like white on white
Mhm.
crime is a situation. We need to save our children. We need to have marches and rallies. Like it's just like, oh, this school shooting, this lone wolf
These
stuff,
isolated incidents.
right? And it's just like it's not the whole entire population, the whole entire demographic. So even when there is a violent or heinous act, like there's still the privilege of being seen as an individual and not this like ongoing like phenomena based on like your race. Like we know the most serial killers tend to be Caucasian males, like, but no one's like, oh, these white men with guns, we gotta regulate them. These super predators, we gotta go and pass this legislation and make sure people go to jail for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's not being said here. And it's very like interesting, like to compare and contrast, like when say, someone goes and robs a Nordstrom's or someone gets in a fight, at a parade. It's very interesting to see how people respond when people are perpetrators, aka the word people like to use, are white.
What we have seen over and over again is not only the apologists but the sympathizers for this. Like, I wonder what excuses they're going to make, because they had said that this child was in fact not bullied. So I wonder what type of mental health thing they're going to throw at this kid. What type of excuse they're going to make for him to go and just take a gun and start shooting for people. And as we're moving on from this, it's clear that he may know what a gun is, but what's even more frightening is that our law enforcement officers that are supposed to swear and protect people, yet again, don't know the difference between their gun, their service weapon, and their non-lethal weapon. As the trial, this is it right here. This is Ethan Crumbly right here. And notice how we use these pictures of him. That's the pictures we got, because his mugshot ain't available yet. Right? His mugshot's not available. He's going to stand trial. I wonder if he playing Dungeons and Dragons in jail right now, or playing Pokemon cards or something. He looked like he was tight.
He definitely looked like he got a deck of those shits.
Right? You know what I mean? Like they probably bought him some in the holding cell. That's what they probably got him. But as I was going into it though, the trial of Kim Potter, the cop who killed Dante Wright in Brooklyn Center last year. And was that last year? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was last year in Minneapolis. That was just really was like a half a mile away from where George Floyd was murdered, because she mistake her taser for her service weapon for a taser and killed this kid. The trial is just starting now with that. Do you think, Miracle, legal correspondent extraordinaire?
Why always do this to me?
Because you're the Esquire. I'm smart, but I ain't go to school. You did. Well, this is what you get for graduating. See, I bet you regret it now, don't you?
Well, the student loans makes you regret it.
Sally Mae on that ass, ain't she?
She's like, hey, you got a month left.
Yeah. So, what do you think's gonna happen with this trial, Mary?
If she gets convicted, I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, because her situation is she panicked and she mistook her gun.
But she was a 20-year veteran, right? 20-year veteran of the force. Shouldn't she know better?
They are tired of giving y'all black people justice and support. And they're like, listen, somebody's got to lose, and it might as well be on this one. But I think that, and I haven't followed this case to see if they did like a recklessness charge or an assault charge. But if they did a lower, level charge, that will indicate, pretty much a slam dunk for a conviction. But if they did anything like the higher first degree, she'll probably walk. But my apologies, I haven't watched that case today. There's been a bunch of cases going down. And so, yeah, she was out here. She was on the force. She was a veteran. She was a teacher. And again, I declined to go through the police training when they were like, public citizens can go through. But to my knowledge, they're on the gun and the taser
they're
on separate sides. There's different shooting mechanisms. And the way you hold it and reload it is different.
Absolutely.
So you're supposed to be able to know the difference, but there's so much happening and with these officers where it's just like you don't know if they're just out here killing people or they're just out here just not caring anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's what, like so what Miracle was saying was there is a system. As I had actually, as a martial artist and as someone who is tactically trained, worked in these spheres. You have your dominant hand is going to be your lethal weapon, your service weapon. Your non-dominant hand is going to be your non-lethal weapon. But like the thing is like what I don't get, if you're a firearms instructor, you know the fucking difference between a loaded gun and a taser. They don't even have remotely the same weights. Like, you know, and most officers carry a Glock with 17. So it's like that has weight to it. So it feels completely different taser. So I'm not buying that shit. But as Miracle said, if they go for a higher sentence, you know, trying to get like a premeditated murder or like, you know, something like that, I don't see a conviction happening. I think there's too much black justice, like you said, this year in the courtroom that they're going to convict this woman. Treble, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I feel like her story of like mistaking the gun for a taser is her just trying to cover her ass. But it's like, bro, like that doesn't cover your ass. It exposes that you are an ass. You know what I'm saying? Like you're training people on how to use firearms, but you're saying that you confused it. You confused a taser for your gun. That makes no sense to me. It's like how 20 years, bro. You've been touching this gun for 20 years. You mean to tell me you don't know how it feels automatically when you put your hand on it? I'm not buying it, bro.
I mean, it's all bollocks, bro. Like it's all a crock of shit. You know what I mean? But it just goes to show that like the amount of training. Fuck all that. What Miracle said, we don't know what these cops are thinking. Is it really just them out here just for bloodlust? They just want to kill some shit. And, you know, they out here doing it all willy-nilly. You know, that's what's wild about it. Like, you know what I mean? And it's a shame that so much has happened in such a short amount of time in 2021 and 2020 with all of these black people.
My bad, y'all.
Please, no, don't be sorry. Just be careful. You know what I mean? It's just like that's what we dealing with. You say there's no way she didn't know. Yeah. I mean, just like in the comments, what Brooke just said is like I mean, me personally, I don't buy that. Right? Like that's a tough sell for me. That I'm not gonna buy. You know, a 20-year veteran, a firearms instructor. Exactly. The taser is yellow. I guess the only argument they're gonna make you see is like when you're drawing from the waist, you're not looking down, so you might not know the color. I guess that's the only argument you can make for that. But still, you know what I mean? It's fuckery. Speaking of fuckery, speaking of fuckery,
fuck around with the fuck around.
Fuck around with the fuck around. That's scientific notation right there. Fuck around and find out. That's actually scientific notation. Fuck around, find out, right? But there's something that's been irritating me, right? Those of you know, I'm an athlete. I like sports, right? I love everything that happens in sports. I love talking about it. Something happening right now, Miracle. When they get an opportunity to speak and they get a platform, do they show the fuck out?
Why?
That's what I want to know. Like, is Fox News really dropping that much of a bag? So, a center for the Boston Celtics, who this season is averaging 4 points a game and 5 rebounds a game, right? Not great numbers. Not great numbers, okay? Has been targeting LeBron James for his lack of awareness about the human rights violations in China and everything that's happening with that. And his name is Enes Canter. He's a Swiss-born former Turkish citizen who played basketball in the States.
And this targeting is unprovoked, right?
It's unprovoked, right? It's completely unprovoked. And what's interesting, before, you know, I got something for Enes Canter. I got something for my brother because he's Muslim, right? And I want to be very clear about this, that Enes Canter, where were you during all of the Black Lives Matter things that have happened? Did you have this amount of viciousness and ferocity during, these protests about the injustices for Black people. And I would like to read something that I have for Enes Canter right here. All right, this is for you, my brother.
Oh, shit, you learn how to read.
I learned how to. I took that week off and I was intentional, bro. Book on phonics worked for me. Okay, I am a proud recipient of the African American College Fund. All right, I got some money and I went and learned how to read in a week. Allahu Akbar. Anyway, Enes Freedom Canter. It's admirable you've positioned yourself as this foreign force of social justice within the American National Basketball League. It's also admirable to shoulder the burden and carry the cross of international social justice issues through one of the most anti-Black and racist cities in America, Boston. You, my brother, are truly a Celtic crusader. But while I believe your intentions are noble, they're misguided at best and disgustingly anti-Black at the very least. You see, Black people in this country are attacked from the left, the right, the front and back at all times, and every single miscarriage of justice, every act of violence, an issue of concern diminishes us piece by piece daily. This occurs regardless of tax bracket, station, celebrity, or elected position. James Baldwin once said famously, to be a Negro in this country is to be a Negro in this country and relatively conscious is to be in a state of rage almost all of the time. And it's my brother. Do you know James Baldwin? Do you know about Kwame Ture? Has any Black person ever come to you and said, before you play basketball, we need to sit you down and test your knowledge on the Black Panthers 10-point plan, since you want to educate people? Are you aware that LeBron James isn't Chinese, he's not Muslim, and therefore not obligated to shoulder the burden of the world's injustices? That's the job you wanted, remember? Did you forget that LeBron is a Black man in America, and during one of the most difficult years in Black American history, post-emancipation, was told to shut up and dribble? Black people are at the bottom of the barrel in the world's social issues, yet we're lauded for our athleticism, we're loved for our contribution to fashion and music, and we're called upon for our resilience to bring light to even the darkest rooms. You had to have known that because you're in the NBA. You're in a league surrounded by Black people. And they took the lead from the WNBA in a media stance against racism that shocked the world. So by appointing yourself the viceroy of vicissitude and demanding a Black man protest and deviate from his own personal crusade in a manner that's more pleasing to you, well, that sounds a lot like white supremacy to me. And I know you know that when Black people uplift, we uplift everyone because we're at the very bottom. Because we're here. We're talking about your issues with how one of the greatest athletes in the history of the world is attacking anti-Blackness and public health crises, that is police murder, and attempting to strengthen his community through education and other acts. But that's not good enough for you. Nah, we're not here talking about your 11 points per game over the span of your career. We're talking about your inability to read the room, your tone-deaf demands, and your habit of wanting to be a part of the conversation when no one's talking to you. It's not our duty as Black people, much less the duty of one Black person, to mule for you because the platform is a global brand. We got our own issues here in North America. And while we can stand in solidarity and champion for the other causes, it's important to remind you that until all Black lives matter, no lives matter. So take a number. You can come at the king, and while LeBron may be the king of basketball, to paraphrase the illustrious and late T'Challa, king of Wakanda, he's not the king of all people. And to paraphrase my brother, Michael K. Williams, a.k.a. Omar Little, when you come at the king, you best not miss.
Okay.
We need an air horn or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need a DJ to just start dropping bombs.
Listen, he had me tight, man. He had me tight.
And it's like, people have to understand anti-Blackness is global. This idea that you want to fight against violence. Wait a minute.
Run him back.
Hey,
Run it back.
Let's get it.
Come on. Put some respect. I'm pulling up on you, nigga.
John said,
put some respect on my name.
Listen, but at the end of the day,
Black people love saying it at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the damn day.
The issue is not with what is going on with China, because that is a human rights violation.
It is.
To put people in concentration camps is a human rights violation.
I don't live in China, my nigga.
It's not even about living in China. The problem is you can't sit there and say you are against fascism and police and state-sponsored violence and terror, then go on Fox News and say Black people should essentially shut up. Quote unquote, your words, shut up, and just be grateful and thankfully live in America when Black people are being murdered, Black people are being assaulted, Black people being raped by the police. The very things you claim that you want to stop are happening right here in America to Black and brown people. And instead of you sitting there saying, hey, let me tell you how we can be partners, you are literally saying that Black people, your NBA colleagues, are too greedy, too selfish, too uneducated, and too focused on money to care about other human lives, when in reality, you yourself said China is a ruthless dictatorship. So if LeBron James speaks out against China, what does that mean for his Chinese colleagues? What does that mean for his Chinese friends and fans and family members who are over there still stateside in China? There's a lot of stuff happening, and there's a lot of things that go on. And if you're talking about raising issues, why can't you move for intersectional platform? Your own colleague, Thabo, almost lost his whole entire career due to police violence in New York. Your own city has been known to be racist to Black sports players and Black athletes at games. So to sit there and tell Black people just to shut up and stop complaining is highly, highly problematic. And to do so under this pretext of human rights, and to go on Fox News where they're literally saying, oh, Black Lives Matter did this and Black Lives Matter, and how dare someone advocate for Black Lives Matter and not this, is you saying that you believe that if somebody advocates for Black lives, they must then advocate for other lives because Black lives don't mean shit to you. So you feel if somebody actually takes time to uplift equity and justice for Black people, then it is a disrespect to you that they don't uplift somebody else because you yourself do not value Black lives and Black people. And that is the problem. And to sit there and go at LeBron James by name and then say, oh, these companies need to do something. These companies, no, that is fake as fuck, because if these companies need to do something, you call those companies by name. You call those people by name. What you're trying to do is a mule and make Black people mule for you and use Black people's name to get a soundbite. Use Black people's name to get a clickbait, because you have not named any other athlete. You have not named your own franchise owner. You have sat there and called out Black people repeatedly, and then used anti-Black rhetoric when they care about their cars, their clothes, their money, and therefore they don't care about Chinese lives. And people care about human rights violations, but you yourself have said that China is so violent that it kills its own people. So what are people supposed to do if our own governments are not acting? We've talked, we've marched, we've called people. You even retweeted Pompeo.
Come on.
Who, when he was, out here as Secretary of State, could have done something for the Chinese Muslims, but did not. So let's not sit here and shroud ourselves in white supremacy. Just say you don't like Black people, you don't want to advococate for Black lives, and we can move on.
That's all you gotta say, bro.
You got side effects now? Wait a minute.
And the thing is, this was dope. I wrote mine, Miracle Freestyle hers.
Why did I tell them I was not prepared for the assignment?
Oh, you understood the assignment. You crushed it. But Treble, with these athletes in the shut up and dribble age, right? When you have someone that speaks out against them in the same sport, right? We've seen it all the time in the NFL. We've seen it all the time in the MLB, and now we're seeing it in a Black organization. What do you think is going to be like in the locker rooms and in these, when he travels now?
Who, LeBron or
Enes Canter, yeah.
If I was in the same locker room as bro, I would just laugh. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're sitting here trying to partake in call-out culture, but what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like you're sitting here trying to champion a cause, but like, where's your work? Show and prove, my nigga.
That's a great point.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what is he actually doing that gives him authority to call anybody out on these issues? You feel me? But trying to call people out and educate them on these issues. You're not doing anything, bro. You're just over here doing this performative activism, and you think that you're rallying against this, but you're not actually doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
And he has a track record of this, of trying to be the center of attention, right? You know, he was kicked out of, pardon me, I'm going through puberty again, clearly. He was kicked out of Turkey for this, and he had his Turkish citizenship stripped. You know, and I'm not saying Turkey is the greatest country in the world. They have all kind of dictatorship issues, right? Tyrannical issues and everything like that. But it's like you have a track record of pissing people off for the wrong reason and not doing anything in the wake of it. So right now it's like, bro, it's like, it's not like we're making up something, right? It's not like black people are sitting here saying that like we went to the store for a Subway sandwich at 3:00 in the morning and got attacked. Right? We're saying things that actually happen. Isn't that right, Miracle?
Yeah, and it's also this idea of that. I hate you. I hate you so much. JK, I am full with love and resentment, as Beyonce said.
Love and resentment.
Love and resentment for you. But it's this idea that people somehow feel that they're too good to build intersectional alliances with folks. That you were in the bubble. You couldn't hold a meeting and say, hey, you're fighting for human rights. I would also, as we're fighting for like racial justice, talk about, I know people say it's the Uyghurs. There's different ways that people pronounce it. And I know my pronunciation is not always correct, but basically China, like France, and I think it's very important that we're talking about like these concentration camps.
Come on.
China, like France, has this policy where they do not really allow religion to be practiced visibly.
Well, France allows religion, just not Islam.
That was where I was going.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Because I'm trying to draw the parallel, but
sorry.
You just jumped right in there. So, like I was saying, and so what they have done is
head first.
What they have done is create what people have been calling concentration camps, where they have taken Muslim people and put them in to re-educate them so they can now disassociate from their religion. Some stuff has been on record as just watching training videos, all the way to torture, sexual assault, violence, similar to what happened here in Pennsylvania with indigenous folks, taking them and separating from their children for the resettlement houses and educating them to be loyal to the state and not to the religion, because then people forget like religion has a visible presence. You look different, you eat different, you pray different. Your consecration is to your religion, and you choose your religion when it conflicts with the state. And so to have this like one nation, you have to have everyone think as a like mind, and they think Islam as well as Christianity, other religions detract that. But because China is a communist state, it gets a lot more attention. Just because it is one of the people that we are, quote unquote, in these wars with. But at the same time, Saudi Arabia has human rights violations.
Absolutely.
And
that was kind of my thing with Enes, is like, where's your smoke for Saudi Arabia? Where's your smoke for the royal family? Where's your smoke for the kingdom? Specifically as a Muslim, right? Like, you know what I mean? And that's an anti-blackness that exists within Islam. No, you want to target a black person, right? So if you want all these human rights violations to stop against Islam, Mecca's in Saudi Arabia, bro. Mecca ain't in the NBA. LeBron James ain't Muslim, right? LeBron, like, so I'm not expecting LeBron is influenced by Jay-Z and 5% Nation and Muslim rappers and everything as LeBron may be. He's not Muslim to my knowledge, so I'm not expecting LeBron to step up and be my hero, right? That's what I'm here for, is for me to do that work. Right. But I'm not upset that LeBron doesn't take time with that, because there's other issues that he might feel a little more important to him in his personal culture, right? Where he lives in the States, that he has to dedicate resources to. But you as a Muslim, someone who's an international citizen, not only an American citizen, but a Swiss citizen and a formerly Turkish citizen, you can get that attention in other countries. So why aren't you? That's the thing. Why aren't you going to the source? Why aren't you going to France? Why aren't you going to Saudi Arabia? Why aren't you going to, you know what I mean, these European nations that are, practicing openly in legislation Islamophobia? Where's your smoke for France? I'm sorry. I got tight.
It's okay. Because like you said, you always just be diving in.
Head first.
Treble. I'm proud of myself today. I've only allowed myself to get caught up at the very beginning, and I've been good.
You've been great.
I have not allowed myself to be entrapped today.
Who am about to dive in?
Treble, I know you have something to say.
I just want to
Treble
say
was a fire.
Thank you. I'm trying to get like y'all out here, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like fucking, so to expect LeBron to be like the hero on these issues and quote unquote educate him on what he could be doing is like almost, in my eyes, perpetuating this superhumanness of blackness, right?
Come on.
How like we can just take on much more than the average person. You know what I'm saying? So why not just pile all of this trauma onto black bodies, no matter what issues they're already fighting against? It's like, yeah, you're fighting against racism. Yeah, this country wants you to die. But what about the people in China? Why aren't you talking about them? It's like, nigga, what?
There was just a school shooting yesterday. They tried to blame on black people.
Yes.
Like there was just yesterday. Because America. Again, like I said, we're not making this up. It's not like we went to get a Subway sandwich at 3:00 in the morning and we had someone say, "Hey, let me stop." But we gotta talk. What you say?
I said expletive.
Expletive.
Hey, expletive.
Yeah. Hey, expletive. Aren't you that
gay black actor? Give me that sandwich.
Miracle and I don't agree on this.
Oh, what? I was here minding my own business.
So was he.
I was. Listen. You know what? Here's the thing.
So was Juicy Smollett.
Don't say his name wrong.
I don't know who you're talking. I'm talking about a hypothetical actor, Juicy Smollett.
At the end of the day, the trial has not concluded. So to sit there and say he is guilty before you've even seen and heard all the evidence is very indicative of this.
So we saying that Africans is guilty?
I didn't even say that. First of all, once again, here you go jumping in.
It's getting real divisive.
There is a lot of things at play, and we don't know the answer. What we do know is this is a politically motivated prosecution of a black man who has refused to change his story. His story has never changed one time. He has maintained that he was assaulted. We know that something did happen. We don't know how much he was involved. He may have said, you know what, y'all, one day just jump me. He didn't tell them maybe to put a noose on him, to call him all type of, slurs or something. We don't know. And so we have to sit there and just wait. And I think that we should, in this moment, like everybody else was out here stomping for Kyle, we need to just hold our brother and not just disengage from him. People make mistakes, and maybe he played fast and loose the truth. We do not know. But at the end of the day, he is ours. He is our brother, and we just need to sit there and take his side. That's all I'm saying.
I took OJ's side too.
OJ didn't do it. The glove did not fit.
You have to quit.
Every time I drink orange juice, I hold it up and say, he didn't do it.
There is a really good, and no, Fruit said he never heard this before.
Yeah.
But there is a really good, I gotta find an article that basically talks about how hypothetically it was his oldest son who did the murders because his oldest son liked to play with guns and had issues. Knives and had issues. That's a whole, I love conspiracy theories. There's a whole theory about that. But you can go and research it for yourself. At the end of the day, I feel like we should not throw away or condemn Black people who make mistakes. We have to hold them in love and understand that state violence and state prosecution and state incarceration are not the answer to these issues. And hopefully this trial will give everyone the answers that they so want.
Here's the question I have.
What about when it comes to Karens?
Say what?
Throw them under the jail.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's up for, our racist rehab. I think that people really have to go out here, and when they out here with their sons, I know John's about to cue up the video. They need somebody in their family has to call them in. That's not my ministry, right? Per se.
I wonder how many Thanksgivings were ruined this year.
Not enough.
Yes.
Not enough. Here's the question I have before we cue this up, John. The question I have though is, did anybody see that Subway's tuna sandwiches have like 5 different animals in them?
Including pork.
Yeah, wild. Like first they couldn't identify what type of fish were in there, and then when they ran, this is how wild Subway is. You actually had to run a DNA test on the meat to figure out what was in there, and they found out it was a chimera. It was 5 different animals.
How pissed off did you have to be that you're like, I'm gonna go and I am going to go test this meat?
Like, right, this is what tastes like tuna.
What is going on? But on the flip side, have we seen that KFC now says chicken on all of their products and advertisements?
Like the real
now.
cheese?
They say Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Not
there
KFC.
There is no KFC. So now KFC got their chicken back, and now it's Subway's turn to have mysterious meat.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, some person I guess gotta take. What I want to know is how the fuck does Long John Silver stay open?
Y'all be hating on Long Johns and Arby's, and it breaks my heart because they're usually like these conservative strongholds. But I love Long John's. Like,
is it conservative stronghold? Is it really?
I love their cheesesteaks. So
I didn't even know they had those on the menu. Like that's wild. Like I didn't. But who still eats Long John Silver's?
I just told you that they cheese sticks are delicious.
Besides Miracle, you can't be single-handedly keeping them in business.
The struggle is real. We are poor out here, and we have to go. And they have a whole meal. They got like little hush puppies.
I've never even been in the Long John Silver's restaurant in my life.
But you know what? That's because you're fit and you're healthy, and you eat organic food because you were raised correctly. Other ones,
I mean, I had food bank food. I had the government cheese and all that.
That's not what I said. I didn't say you weren't poor. I said you were raised correctly, like to eat food and cook it. You weren't raised on fast food.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But we have a video to pull up because there's a very unique Karen today. I think this is the first time we have a Karen tandem, like a familial bond of a
Karen and the Ken.
A Karen and the Ken
or Tucker. What was it called? I forgot.
Kens? I don't know. The kinship of the Karen and the Ken, isn't that the KKK? Oh, I just did something right there. I'm nice. I'm good with this. John, cue this video, please. Let's lodge up our production. I know, it's almost like a rap or something. Let's lodge up our production team real quick because John is back here making shit happen today. So, go on, pick up yourself. But here is a very... Just play the video. This shit is so wild.
We just want to know what your job is and why.
None of your business.
Call the cops.
You call the cops?
Yeah, this is not your apartment.
It's not my apartment.
I'm calling the cops.
I don't need to tell you
Do
anything.
you have an ID on you?
I don't need to tell you what I'm doing because I'm not interacting. So call whoever you want to call. Huh? Yeah? It's a secure building. Okay, so how do you think I got in here?
Come on.
Did I follow you in here?
That fucking
Dude, seriously? You're attacking me. Seriously?
get that phone out of your
Seriously? What the hell's wrong with you? You stupid? Try something.
Get the fuck out of my building.
Try something.
Get the fuck out of my building.
I'm telling you.
Call the cops.
Call the
Call the
police.
cops.
I'm like, just sit there and call. Like,
I didn't
really?
I didn't attack you.
You didn't attack me? I got it on camera. Call the police right now.
Please.
I'm going to press charges. Go ahead.
Like, in my building, my own building.
Go
We
ahead.
asked,
I didn't touch you.
why you were here.
All right.
I didn't touch
We
you.
asked.
Brother, I'm recording the whole thing.
Did
You
I touch
literally
you?
swung at me. Are
We
you
asked.
crazy?
What are you doing
None of
here?
your business.
It is our business.
None of
We
your
live
business.
here.
You know
It is our
None of your
business.
I
business.
live here.
None of your business.
about
It is our
people
business.
None of
We
your
live
business.
here. We
None of
live
your
here.
business.
and not
None of
using
your business.
We live
context
here.
clues.
So?
We live here.
So? And?
No, you
Okay,
can
so
stop.
how did you
I'm
get
about to
in
be
here?
triggered.
We want to know.
Like, if it's a secured building, you get in a certain way. And it's kind of interesting because the Inquirer ran an article piece.
The Inquirer?
The Philly Inquirer
Oh, I thought you
ran
meant
a
like
news
the
piece,
tabloid.
opinion piece of a black defense attorney who was just talking about this same thing happened to him. And he literally had to have a white officer walk him to his apartment for people to believe that he actually lived there. And so this idea that like you literally as a Black person have to be on guard, you have to announce your presence, you have to tell complete strangers. Like I would never want to tell a man that my apartment number. Like I would never like, this is where I live. Like come walk with me to my apartment door. And it reminds me of like Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. At what point is enough evidence for people to say, I live here, I belong here, right? Do we have to open the keys? Do we have to like, think about what was Amber guy? Do we have to go in our apartments and like have pictures of, because like my apartment, I don't have no pictures of my family and my friends up because I have other things going on in my life, right? And so there's no proof that my apartment is my apartment if you just look at it. Right. So what proof do people have to say they belong in these buildings? If it's a secure building, you have to have a code. Yep. You have to get in, and you could just like stood behind him at an elevator. Like I don't think white people are taught how to like be nosy correctly. Like they
don't peek out the blinds.
You peek out the blinds, or you just like play on your phone, or you grab a book, or you cautiously just like hang out on a post up on a block, and you just.
It's funny because the KGB were like the most spiteful Russian white people in the world, and they were good at it. But I mean,
it didn't get passed down.
I have no idea. Like I live in a secure building, right? And last summer, I had a white woman ask me if I lived in my building, and I had always said I wish that would happen to me, but I was so caught off guard when she said, I was like, "What? Yeah, I live here. Like, get out my way."
Did you cry?
No, I just kept it moving, right? But I say that to say I've been in my building now for 7 years, right? And my building has 9 floors, right? It's a 9-story building.
I'm trying to tell people how to find you.
No, I'm not saying anything else. But like what I was gonna say is, I've never seen everybody that lives in my building. I don't know, Ed, but if I seen someone that I've never seen before, I wouldn't say shit. Like, okay, like it's affordable enough that I'm not questioning anybody that lives there. That's why I don't get like that building, that garage looked pretty large. So that leads me, my context clues lead me to believe the building is even larger. So there's no way possibly that you've seen every single resident in that building. There's no way. There's no way. So why does this Black person have to answer to you? You don't have agency over him. You don't have to answer that question. Like you're nobody. You're a resident in here. You're a tenant that pays rent just like me. The end. That's all you need to know. Okay. I'm done.
Are you sure?
I wouldn't have engaged with them, bro. Like at all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like y'all are clearly on bullshit. I just would have went on about my business. You know what I'm saying? Like
until he swung at me. You swing at me, bro. Now we
yeah.
Like that's the shit right there. You know what I mean?
I just asked you the thing about the defense attorney. If you want to post it in the chat,
we have. But so can we talk about this?
I mean, we can. I mean, you could have just like.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Now you want to say it?
No, I mean, I just wanted you to help me because even though I learned how to read in the past week, I'm not that great yet. So maybe I was gonna have you help me read this week's White Pages.
So we're talking about Blackness and Black bodies and Black people. And this book right here, The Belly of the Beast, The Politics of Anti-Fatness as Anti-Blackness by Deshaun L. Harrison. I probably said that wrong. I think it's Deshaun. But anyways, they are...
Put some respect on his name.
No, they are they.
Oh, they, okay. I'll put some respect on their pronouns.
Yes. And they wrote this like really good book. And I actually met them last week. So I was like,
oh, are they from Pittsburgh?
They are in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Because I be traveling, and this is like a really great book of just talking about, right now with COVID-19, people are talking about being overweight and being plus size, and what that means to talk about people's bodies being disposable and health systems, and when it comes to policing and different things. And so this is like a really great book when we're talking about where and when and places that Black people belong and how that is received by folks and how our bodies are policed and seen as threats. So this is a really good book called The Belly of the Beast, and it's written I don't know if you can see the words. So it's written in a way that's very easily digestible, so you don't have to like.
Is that a pun?
I told you I'm working on my anger management, and I don't have a therapy appointment for another month and a half, and so I'm going to need you to stop. Are you done? No, don't gaslight me now. Anyways, so this is a really great book for you to read. Now, our call to action. We have multiple calls.
Okay.
You want to jump in and say something?
I just want to know, do you know the final call?
I do want a bean pie, and I was promised one, and
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
was
got
too, I
one,
didn't
and
get
I
one.
did. You don't deserve it. I'm gonna be like, don't give Farouk any bean pies because the way you've acted today, abysmal. Appalled.
Our call to action, Miracle.
Call to action is like donate to the one of the team. Yesterday it was
Giving Tuesday, and you were supposed to give big and give black.
Why did it have to turn into this? Why couldn't it have just been a normal thing?
It's always Farouk.
Damn.
When I stopped sweating right up all this
Look, now Virginia's not going to be proud of us. We were
Virginia,
doing so
tried.
good.
We tried so we wouldn't get in trouble.
I'm sweating right now. Listen, I've been.
Because last time we got.
Oh my God. When I seen those graphics, I was like, yo, like this is a joke.
John,
right
can
now.
you pull up our Giving Tuesday graphic, if you have it, so the people can know what we're laughing about? But that was our theme.
Yes, give big and give black for Giving Tuesday. Act Blue charity, or it was Act Blue, right?
Yeah,
it was Act Blue link
on
on the.
We have. You know what? You need prayer. Don't touch me.
I'm not. I'm sure.
Oh my God, my brain just. So thank y'all for your support.
Yeah. Other calls to
Where's the
action.
fist?
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, like the jokes are there. They write themselves. It's not me. Like,
oh, we were being so good. There goes our holiday bonus.
There goes your holiday bonus. I'm on my best behavior. I'm chilling.
It wasn't me. Oh, you're guilty by association. You were here with us. Jesus Christ. Also, oh my God.
that's hellfire.
Oh my God.
Right
Oh my God.
That's the hellfire.
Oh my God. Young Black Motivated Kings and Queens. They just, if you go to their page, they're doing a drive for toys so they can give out toys to people, toys to children.
Big black toys.
He's gonna fight you, and I'm gonna laugh. And that and last. Oh, this is what I meant to say. This weekend from 12 to 3, Young Black and Educated. Black Young and BYE is doing a resource drive for the women's shelter here in Pittsburgh. They need toiletries and clothing items. That will be the drop off will be here Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 3 p.m. So if you look at BYE's social media, the flyer, the graphics are there. But please, if you have any toiletries that are unopened, if you have gently used like clothing or different items, please come and drop it off.
Drop it like it's hot.
It's like dropping to. This song just popped in my head. I'm going to. You know what? We need to. That's why I also work, y'all. December 15th, we'll be getting a break. Obviously, we need rest. Obviously, we need care.
You gotta laugh to keep
so
from
much,
crying, man. You have to laugh to keep from crying.
So much support and help. So December 15th through January 15th, right? Or am I just giving us extra time?
I don't know. I mean, take as much time as we need.
We'll basically be closed. Also, shout outs to Jasiri and Celeste. They're celebrating, I believe it was their 22nd or their 23rd
Black love. That's gonna be our
anniversary.
A big black excellence. It's just serious. 22 years of marriage.
There we go.
That's actually beautiful.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. All right, y'all. This is This Week in White Supremacy. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hope you all have a beautiful weekend. Never lose sight.
haunt the halls when the light is out. They suck the blood of the poor and they wipe their mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the Whitest House, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
Days.
I'm actually crying.
I'm sweating. Like
Oh
I
my
need to
God.